Hello world. I thought I'd best make this video quite quickly before it becomes an irrelevance. But last Wednesday the 6th of April in fact, I went to see Jake Bugg with my friend Hannah at the Kentish Town O2 Forum in London. And I just thought I'd tell you about the evening really. I got home and then promptly developed a chest infection, which with God's skilled surgeons is shifting, but my throat's a little bit sore. So if I've got some water here, then please forgive me if I have a slug every so often, because I need it. So, yeah, let's sort of start really, I suppose, the very beginning, shall we? Having arrived at the O2 Forum, the security guards obviously search you. They're really hot on it ever since the Manchester Arena Ariana Grande thing. So they took off me a bottle of Ribena and a white wine miniature, which I was keeping for the way home, because they can. Let us through, whatever. Sorted out our cloakroom thing. Now this is two good things really about if you're with O2 and you go to an O2 gig. A, you get to queue jump, and B, you also get a free cloakroom thingy, so you can shove your coat in there. And we went down to the front. It was sort of packing up with people, and yeah, we were very, very early really. A little while later, the first of Jake Bugg's support groups came on. He was a singer backed by a band called Luke Royalty. He was okay. The audience was supportive. The sound wasn't brilliant. I have a feeling that he was being backed up by keyboards that weren't there, i.e. tapes or the digital equivalent of. Quite enjoyable. I played him on Apple Music when I got home. You can check him out if you want to. I'd say just very, very generic. It's just another Ed Sheeran wannabe. You know, crossed with, you know, the ones that are sort of trying to be all inner London kind of thing. You know, I've got this London accent, even though I'm from Darlington, in it kind of thing. And it was just very generic. They were okay. And as I say, the audience were supportive and stuff. So, yeah, no problems really with him. The next group to come on, about 10 minutes later, very, very quick change around, by the way, between the two of them. They wheeled on a set of keyboards, although it turns out that actually Vistas, who were the next group, they didn't use those keyboards. That was for Jake Bugg. But yeah, so in that kind of 10 minutes or so, you know, quick change round. Boom. Yeah, Vistas were more professional, I'd have to say. They're a Scottish band. There were little bits of guitar that reminded me of Big Country from the 1980s. If anyone remembers them. In a big country, dreams stay with you. Sorry, I should not sing. Yeah, that got little bits of Lloyd Cole coming out in there, and also bits of the Starlets. There is this sort of specific kind of indie genre that that sort of emanates from Scotland, and it's good. It's good. They were good, and they'd obviously bust in a load of fans because there was, you know, the air punching going on and the words, and people knew them. I didn't know who they were, but obviously there were people round about me and whatever who were singing along and who did know it. Right, so they played for about half an hour, and then off they trundle, and then we've got about another half an hour wait while they're setting up the stage for Jake Bugg. Now, can you see where this is going? Can you see where this is going? This is what happens. There is a reason why the support acts go on first. They don't come on in through the middle unless you're democratic, like ABBA were when they let Thomas Ledin do a number in the middle of their set, and they haven't got time to sabotage the mixing for him to make him sound worse than ABBA. But that's what goes on at these gigs. It really is. It's like chalk and cheese. Luke Royalty, as I say, using his backings as well as, you know, live musicians. You know, it was only keyboards that for him were sort of there, but no one was playing them, kind of thing. And Vistas, as I say, slightly better, but I think because they were better musicians. I don't think the actual sound balance got any better. The vocals in particular were very indistinct. You really could not sort of make out the words that they were saying. But Vista's finish, Jake Bugg has got a rack of about 20 guitars or something, all with different capos placed in different places and whatnot else like that, different settings and stuff. So there's a bloke coming out and checking those, making sure they're all tuned up and what have you. There's someone at the back putting a Ukraine flag on the drum kit and also tuning up the kit, you know, and making sure it's EQ'd properly. So you've got that really sort of thick kick drum kind of thing going on in place there. There's music coming over the sound system, Jake Bugg's favourites, whatever, you know. And Luke and Vistas, Jake Bugg didn't really need you there. I think, you know, you're there as a sign up with your management companies and what have you, but Jake Bugg really didn't need you there. All Jake Bugg had to do was put Champagne Supernova by Oasis on the sound system as they're setting up the stage. And all 7 minutes of that, you had everybody captivated, everybody singing along with it, whatever. There is your audience warmed up. And I think there was another number that came on after that, and then it was pretty much, we are into Jake Bugg. Right, now I've got his set list here. That's probably too much information. I don't want to be a spoiler for you. All right, if your favourite song didn't get played. My favourite song didn't get played, despite me shouting it out. But yeah, I really wanted him to play How Soon the Dawn. Jake Bugg, if you ever watch this video, which I doubt you will, but please, next time, can we have How Soon the Dawn? All right, but let's just say that nearly all of his albums got something in there from them. In particular, obviously, the first album, Jake Bugg, because it's got his hit song, all right? And I'm going to say this right now. Jake Bugg, you mentioned that it's been 10 years since that first album came out. Make a live album, a 10th anniversary live album. For that reason, and for another reason, which I'm going to touch on in a minute. But yeah, so most came from Jake Bugg. There are a few from Shangri-La. There were none from On My One, which I think is a bit of a shame, really. I you know, that's a good album. I think some people were a little bit kind of off-put by it because it didn't quite follow the Jake Bugg formula, but why should there be a Jake Bugg formula? Why don't you just let him write the songs? It's in its own right. If it didn't have Jake Bugg and Shangri-La to follow on from, it would still be a brilliant album. It's neglected, listen to it, it's good, all right? There are a couple from Hearts That Strain, and most of Friday Night, Saturday Morning was included. Also, there were a couple that I wasn't sure about. There was a song called Habits. You can download this set list if you want to, by the way. I just don't want to go through the whole list because, as I say, I don't want to spoil anybody's enjoyment if they haven't seen the tour yet and they're going to, you know. So yeah, there's this song called Habits, which I didn't know. There was another one called Seventh Bridge Road, and that is the new single. Very good. It's only been out a day, and I've only listened to it a couple of times. But yeah, worth streaming it. Stream it, make it number one it. Okay? All right. Now, my favourite numbers from here. Downtown from Friday Night, Saturday Morning. Absolutely amazing. A really beautiful song. And whilst I've got you here, if you go on to Spotify or Apple Music, you'll find that there was a video made for this, just a very simple video of them in the studio, and it's really nice, really good. Slightly different mix from the album. Yeah, there was he also played Saviours of the City, which was a single. Simple as This, obviously. And what I really liked about Simple as This was that he deliberately held back on the tempo just to make the message, which I spoke about the last time I did a video on Jake Bugg. I really went into quite a lot of detail about this song, which I don't want to do again, but it just brings the message home just that little bit more when it's 1 or 2 BPM slower than you remember it being from the album, you know. The Man on Stage from Hearts That Strain. Hearts That Strain, I love Friday Night, Saturday Morning. I like On My One. But Hearts That Strain is still my favourite Jake Bugg album, all right? And The Man on Stage, just fantastic. Obviously Broken. The amount of people holding their mobile phone up, you know, it's really great. And, you know, the audience shut up, and it was like, that song, I don't know, it's like there's an almost kind of religious or quasi-religious significance to it. If you can imagine like a sort of a massive audience at a Joan Baez concert singing Amazing Grace, and how that sort of becomes this sort of moment of, you know, togetherness for the whole crowd. And he plays Broken, just him and his acoustic guitar. You know, the rest of the band's gone off for a union break, and there's him there and us singing along, and it's just a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous 5 minutes. Really, really nice. You'll find a couple of recordings of that on YouTube made by other people. Just search for Jake Bugg, Kentish Town O2 Forum, something like that, you'll get it. Okay, I'll try and put a thingy in the description for you. Seventh Bridge Road, I've spoken about as being the single. It's good. And the last 2 numbers, Hold Tight and All I Need. After Hold Tight, Jake introduced Joy. God bless Joy. Every night on that tour, she has sat through 2 support acts, all of Jake Bugg's act, and then come on at the end. And when I saw her, I thought, she's going to do I'll Be Waiting. And I thought, you know, I'll Be Waiting is a male-female duet. And I thought, that would be great to do that, wouldn't it? And it's a shame she didn't, because I'll Be Waiting is another just fantastic song. And if her and him had done that and then gone on to All I Need, right? There were no encores, by the way. Lightning Bolts is like 5 songs to, you know, away from the end, right? But there are no encores. He just comes on, does his stuff and goes. There's a reason for that, I think. And this is where my only moan comes in, and it is a moan, all right? But it's nothing really at all that is unique to Jake Bugg. But it is to do with a very, very few fans who did their best to try and spoil the concert for at least those people in the standing room at the front, all right? There are people who think that moshing is fantastic, all right? I'm just going to quickly read you the Wikipedia definition of moshing if you don't know what it is, right? But I'm sure you do, all right? Moshing is an extreme style of dancing in which participants push or slam into each other, typically performed to aggressive live music such as heavy metal and punk rock. Moshing usually happens in the centre of the crowd, generally closer to the stage, in an area called the mosh pit. It is intended to be energetic and full of body contact. Right? Now, given that there wasn't really a mosh pit there wasn't anything that was designated as mosh pit, there, and given that 9/10, or in fact actually more than that, you know, maybe 19/20ths of the audience standing at the front were standing there waving their arms around, singing, having a great time. But there were a few who thought that they could link arms and push and shove into other people who were just enjoying the music. They gave Luke Royalty and Vistas enough respect to stand, listen, cheer along. They gave Jake Bugg Lost, which was his opening number. And then from then on, the second number in, I won't tell you what it is, but from the second number in, it started. And it was really, really uncomfortable. I wouldn't have said the second number was really a moshing song. Right? Certainly the third number was a moshing kind of song. And certainly they did. And it was really awful. It was really awful. And I thought, I just cannot, if I've got to stand here for the next 2 hours being barged and pushed around like that, then, you know, I want to go home. It really got in the way that much of my enjoyment of the music, and I'm sure I wasn't alone. Okay, the more observant people of you might recognise that this is a cut-in because the lights changed. I forgot to say in my main video that just before Jake did Downtown, which was about 4 numbers in, he almost sounded apologetic to the fact that he was slowing it down. Right? Why do we think that was? Because the moshing had already started. It had already been going on for 2 songs previous. I really think that. I also think that Jake Bugg is the kind of person who would sit there for hours and hours and hours a day with a guitar in his hand, perfecting his craft, and to just totally disrespect it by coming in with this sort of really violent attitude. It's just a total, you know, disrespect of who Jake Bugg actually is, and, you know, what his work is about. The third thing that I needed to say was that I did read an article about Jake's Nottingham gig, which was a few days before the one we went to see. Somebody wrote a review on a blog somewhere, said they couldn't understand all the sort of tempo changes. And I actually think that Jake Bugg is a master, actually, in that sense, in that he would, you know, use the tempo of his songs to control the audience. I'm sure, in fact, that he was using the tempo changes to calm the audience down, or to calm a very small minority of the audience, down through the use of tempo changes. So whoever wrote that review of the Nottingham gig, then that's why he did it. And also because perhaps there's an artistic kind of merit in the order that he wants to play the songs. Maybe there's a certain key relationship between the song that went before and the song that went next, for example, or a lyrical theme that between the song that I'm playing now and the song that I'm going to play next, kind of thing. So yeah, that's, you know, part of it, but I'm sure that the abrupt changes of gear are to do with controlling the audience, but also because Jake writes a variety of songs, beautiful ballads, which he wants to play, talks about Broken, also up-tempo numbers that are fantastic, Slumville Sunrise. Okay, on with the video. I did see people actually leave, right? It is really selfish, okay? I'm all up for everybody enjoying themselves. Do what you want, as long as you don't invade the enjoyment of somebody else. Let's just have a little look about the opposition, criticism and controversy caused by moshing. Because if you were someone who has ever moshed at a Jake Bugg concert, or at anyone's concert really, but if you are, you're a twat, all right? People die as a result of moshing. So we've got the American post-hardcore band Fugazi. Never heard of them, but there they are. Fugazi, however you want to say them, right? Opposed slam dancing at their live shows. Members of Fugazi were reported to single out and confront specific members of the audience, politely asking them to stop hurting other audience members or hauling them on stage to apologise on the microphone. In the 1990s, the Smashing Pumpkins took a stance against moshing, following 2 incidents which resulted in fatalities. At a 1996 Pumpkins concert in Dublin, Ireland, 17-year-old Bernadette O'Brien was crushed by moshing crowd members and later died in the hospital, despite warnings from the band that people were getting hurt. At another concert, singer Billy Corgan said to the audience, "I just want to say to you, you young college lughead types, I've been watching people like you slugging around other people for 7 years, and you know what? It's the same shit. I wish you'd understand that in an environment like this and in a setting like this, it's fairly inappropriate and unfair to the rest of the people around you. I and we publicly take a stand against moshing." Those two, Fugazi and the Smashing Pumpkins, did far more than the security did that were waiting around, watching the concert, and that were there, because they could have pulled them out of the audience, and they didn't. I even sent them a tweet afterwards, and asking why they didn't. It was all right for them. When they're letting people in, they can take a bottle of Ribena off me, because they can. At the end, when there was a little bit of confusion as to collecting your coats, they can tell you to get in the queue and that the queue goes over there. Hannah never snaps at anyone, but she did snap at him, because I think she was pissed off as well about it. Even though, I have never been moshed. I've been in those sort of environments before, standing at the front at gigs and stuff like that, and never ever had it happen. Once there was some twat in the middle of an Evanescence gig who started shouting, "This is an emergency," and then just came charging through, including me, and just barging down the end. But that was the closest, i.e. one person who everyone was annoyed at. But no, there was no moshing. We didn't get moshed, even at Evanescence, If you've got people like the Smashing Pumpkins, a post-hardcore band Fugazi, and an industrial dance group of the 1990s called Consolidated, then these are not Joan Baez and Joni Mitchell, and in the evening with Janice, and this is not, these are tough people, tough bands, and they're saying, don't do it. They're saying, don't do it. It's toxic masculinity. Me birds gave me a pass out for the evening. I said to Hannah, these people are my age. They were. Just when I thought, God, I really feel like elbowing one of these myself to get them out my way. And I looked, and it's a guy like this, and he's like, 50 odd. And I'm thinking, perhaps I won't elbow him, actually. Hannah said to me, MDMA, she said. Looks like they're on MDMA. So I said to her, and this is over the top of the music, and I said to her, so I suppose my elbow in the stomach that I want to give them will just feel like peace and love to them then, will it? Actually, it did get a little bit easier. It did get a little bit easier, because what they managed to do for themselves was sort of mark themselves out a little bit of territory, perhaps by pissing around like dogs do, pissing on people's legs or something. But they managed to mark themselves out a little bit of territory, like sort of a rectangular area in the middle of that floor, and then they were, sort of keeping it a little bit more to themselves. But yeah, it's really unacceptable. Sorry, And now the moshers are getting more publicity than Jake Bugg, which I really didn't want to happen. All right. But yeah, go on and read the Wikipedia article about moshing. And if you are a mosher, just don't do it. All right. That's the second reason why I think Jake Bugg should release a live album, by the way. Because then we can listen to the live album at home. We can punch the air and sing and dance to our heart's delight and not have to put up with that kind of thing. Obviously, the solution as well, I mean, I really wasn't anticipating it, but the solution is to go and get some seats. I think perhaps that might be, you know, another way around. There was seating area up the top. People were enjoying themselves. People were standing up, dancing, waving the flags around, or waving their arms around, singing, whatever, and really enjoying themselves. And they were not being moshed. Yeah. I'm going to see the avatars on my birthday, people. Again, we've got the dance floor. The dance floor for an ABBA gig is, you know, the coolest place to be, even if it's an avatar gig, i.e. basically a glorified tourist attraction. I just hope it doesn't happen there. I can't imagine it. Surely they're far too Radio 2 for that. I suppose Jake Bugg's Radio 2 now as well, isn't he? That really spoilt it. The gig itself was fantastic. All right, go and see it. Go and enjoy yourself and don't mosh anybody. Jake, please can we have that live album? All right, I'll stop whittering on now and I'll see you later. Bye. Bye 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 bye.